I got a question for the Amerikanski. And in order to ask the question, I need the wonders of Notepad. Imagine you have a soccer match between the country of Nigeria and the country of Germany. So the scoreboard is going to look something like this, right? And let's say, it's like 0-0. A huge draft of wind comes and they manage to pull this away, right? So all of a sudden it's fucking offensive. All of a sudden, right, a lot of people's sensibilities are going to be wounded. So what a lot of people are going to do on television is they're going to do this shit. Right? So here's my question. Because I see this all the fucking time. I see this everywhere. Are you telling me that out there on planet Earth, there is a person that is incredibly offended by this? That their sensibilities are being destroyed. However, if they see this, then it's fine. What? How does this work? Why is it like is there a person that looks like at this, right, and gets upset but doesn't understand what the fuck this shit is? Like they really don't? Do they have to play hangman, like this? And then, can I get a vowel, please? Huh? Is this a thing? Like, is this legit? Apparently it is, right? And you see this with another thing. This is even more stupid. Like, you read the comic book, right? And you can't have the word fuck in it, because kids might read it. And that is offensive. So what they do is they go like this. The fuck is this shit? Like, is there legitimately a person that's like, what word am I looking at? What is this? Oh, it's a curse word. I just don't know which one it is. I just find it really bizarre. Like, I can't stand censorship, right? Especially, I can't stand censorship for political correct reason. Like, either get rid of the fucking word or just, spell it properly. The fuck is wrong with you? This is so bourgeois. This is like, high society people running around with their noses all the way up to the ceiling. And then they're looking at a painting that's just a blank. And they're saying, oh wow, I can definitely see the emotions of the artist in this shit. It's like, no, just cut the crap. Okay, let's cut the crap. Just, ugh. So the topic of the day, as you probably imagined, is censorship. Now, I can't think of any time in human history, none whatsoever, when we look back and we look at censorship and we say, yeah, you know what, this was needed. This was a good thing. Yeah, every single time, if you look at every society that decided to censor, history looks back and say, yeah, no, that was fucked up. They shouldn't have censored it. No, the government was tyrannical, bad. And it's not like, I can't think of a single society that decided to censor, and you also don't have like other tyrannical rules alongside censorship. Because I think like censorship is a symptom, right? If you have a society where everyone is fine and everyone is doing great, you don't need to censor it. But the moment the government starts doing shit that the people don't like, then the government has to censor people so that they don't spread rumors and ideas, and then maybe they go to vote and take down the government that way. Or start a rebellion or something, right? So every single time we see censorship, it is the symptom of a tyrannical government. And now it seems that the corporations, the private sectors, are willing to be the arm of the government, in Europe at least, according to this article. So according to this article, we see a leaked Google briefing which want to abandon the traditional American way of free speech for the European way of safety and civility. Mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. I don't want to be safe, okay? I want to live in danger. When I go to the internet, it needs to be the danger zone. I want the red alert going around. You're on the internet. That's what I fucking want, right? I don't want safety. And I don't want fucking civility. You know where I get civility? At work. When I was going to the hospital, I had to be fucking civil. When I'm talking to my mom, I need to be civil. When I go outside, I want to be civil, right? But when I'm on the internet, I want to be able to shitpost. I want to be uncivil. And if people don't like me, they can block me. They can mute me. They don't have to put up with me. It's not like I'm not forcing myself on people. I'm not like Mowgli being hypnotized by the snake cough, for fuck's sakes, right? So this is what we're seeing. And now, of course, Google is saying that this is just an internal memo that was passed, and there is not actual company policy. I fucking hope so. I mean, I hope so, because otherwise we're looking to a very dystopian Chinese-like future. But okay, so let's read the article. An internal company briefing produced by Google and leaked exclusively to Breitbart News argues that due to a variety of factors, including the election of Satan himself, the American tradition of free speech on the internet is no longer viable. Well, I am really glad that according to who wrote this letter, democracy and free speech is a great idea as long as it works for you. You know, the moment you're not getting your way, the moment you're not getting the person you want elected, well, free speech is no longer viable. So basically what you're saying is that if we had safety and civility, Donald Trump would not get elected. I hope Trump voters are listening to this, right? There is a guy working at Google that legitimately thinks this. Now, it's not company policy, right? It's not, but this letter is legit. Like, Google did not deny the existence of this letter. Someone wrote this garbage. Despite leaked video footage showing top executives declaring their intention to ensure that the rise of Trump and the populist movement is just a blip in history. Since when is the private sector concerned with who gets elected into office? Does this not bother anyone at all? Like, is this not something that needs to be cracked down upon? I mean, they do have more money than other governments, just saying. Yeah, I'm just putting it out there. And they're saying, well, we need to stop the democratic process in the United States and causing it to be just a blip in history. Google has repeatedly denied that the political bias of its employees filter into its products. I hope this is the case. I'm willing to believe Google. You know what? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to be an asshole. Yeah, all right. But I'm watching you. I'm watching them. I'm watching that. Watch. This is what you need to do. The 85-page briefing titled "The Good Censor." What the fuck? Admits that Google and other tech platforms now control the majority of online conversations and have undertaken a shift towards censorship in response to unwelcome political events around the world. Unwelcome for whom? Last time I checked, Trump supporters are very happy with whom they elected. You know, America did not become a fascist state. Muslim people can still practice their religion. We haven't installed the autocracy. You know what's interesting? You know what is absolutely astonishing? It's not Trump, the alleged fascist, that talks about ending free speech. No. It is pretty much the private sector and people working in it that don't like free speech. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that a thing? But please tell me more how Trump is a fascist. I guess there was so much free speech in Nazi Germany and fascist Italy under Benito Mussolini. In Imperial Japan, free speech was blossoming, wasn't it? Examples cited in the document include the 2016 election and the rise of the Alternative for Deutschland. Oh my god, you know, like parties we don't like get elected. In one way, it kind of makes sense, right? Because if you're a corporation that wants to be multinational and you don't like the fact that there are borders and different regulations in different countries, you would want a world without borders. It would be a lot easier for you to do business. You're not just hiring people from America, you're now hiring people from around the world. And you can, hire the cheapest type of labor. So it does make sense for corporations to want this. And I think it's very scary when corporations are then deciding to support presidential candidates, when they're funding presidential candidates, and then they're using their platform that puts the product of megaphones. Let's be honest, this is what it is. Like, there is no way in hell I could reach this many people without Google. And then they decide, well, okay, we're going to silence people that are campaigning against the president that we put up. Isn't it interesting, right? Like, one way to threaten free speech is obviously to censor. Another way to threaten free speech is to only give megaphones to some people. Imagine a classroom where you have students in the red team and students in the blue team. And you have like a debate going on, and the blue team gets a microphone and the red team doesn't. So the red team has to shout while the blue team is, having their voices heard by the entire school. Who do you think will win that debate? Responding to the leak, an official Google source said that the document should be considered internal research and not official company position. Well, I hope it stays at research. I really do. Like, are people not really worried about this? I'm worried about it. The briefing label the ideal of unfettered free speech on the internet a utopian narrative that has been undermined by recent global events as well as bad behavior on the part of the users. Oh, Alex Jones was naughty, wasn't he? Was he a little bit... Okay, it can be read in full below. It acknowledged that major tech platforms, including Google, Facebook, and the Twitter, initially promised free speech to consumers. This free speech ideal was instilled in the DNA of the Silicon Valley startup that now control the majority of our online conversations, says the document. And you got this thing, which again, like what I'm really shocked, right? To me, this is just astonishing. You have the Moore lawsuit, right? Like the employee working at Google, top of his class, brilliant person, and James Damore. And he pushes also, a memo that was also internal, where he points out that maybe, the affirmative action we're having is not really great. Maybe it's women choosing not to go to STEM. It's not that there are men in STEM that are keeping women away. Immediately, it's in the press. Immediately, he gets fired. Like Google CEO stops his vacation, comes back in country and gives a press statement, fires the guy, right? But what about this? Why isn't the person who wrote this making any waves? I'm not saying he should get fired, but at least there should be massive waves. It's like, why is this a thing? Huh? Is this not horrible? Is it not? Google's atmosphere of creativity and challenge has helped us provide unbiased, accurate, and free access to information. This was from 2004. Facebook is a tool to create a more honest and transparent dialogue around government. This was Mark Zuckerberg, 2012. Also, if you think last year, Twitter CEO said that Twitter is the free speech wing of the free speech party. Last fucking year. And look how things have changed, right? Like all of these platforms have moved away from the marketplace of ideas, and they're now going into creating a well-ordered space for safety and civility. And they never ask the consumers, right? Because it's not a bottom-up type of thing. Like, it's not the Twitter user or the Facebook user that's asked. No, these corporations have now political ambitions, and as such, it's in their interest, not yours, not the consumer, it's their interest to push those political ambitions. They realize they can get into politics. They realize they can influence economies. They can influence political at a global scale. Again, like Google donated millions of dollars to Hillary Clinton's campaign. Why the fuck do you think they did that? Out of the kindness of their heart? Is it because they legitimately believe in her platform? Or is it because, yeah, I'm going to donate you a lot of money, and once you get elected, you are then going to give me a couple of favors? The briefings argues that Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter are caught between two incompatible positions. I guess the position of the America and the position of Europe. The first approach is described as a product of the American tradition, which prioritizes free speech for democracy, not civility. The second is described as a product for the European tradition, which favors bullshit over bullshit and more bullshit over freedom. That is literally what I read. No one is going to say, yeah, we're favoring empowering the government. We're favoring silencing any dissenting opinion. They're going to pull random crap, dignity, liberty. What the fuck is this shit? Right? This is censorship. It's evil. That's what it is. Like, like just over freedom. Like, what is more important than freedom? Can anyone tell me? Fuck your civility. Fuck your dignity. I want freedom. Freedom is more important. That's why it's even called, like, this is what pisses me off about the left, that they call themselves liberals. Like, the whole idea of liberal comes from liberty, freedom. That is it. The briefing associates Google's dual role as the guarantor of civility with the categories of editor and publisher. This is significant given that Google, YouTube, and other tech giant publicity claim they are not publishers, but rather platforms. Yeah, so they don't get sued. Like, this is the whole thing. You need to choose, right? Like, back in the early days when the telephone was invented, they realized they have a problem. So let's say two people want to organize a train robbery. and they do it over the phone. Now, should the phone company be considered an accomplice to their nefarious act? Because obviously they're helping them commit the crime. And the government said no, all right? The phone company is going to be a platform, and they're not responsible for what people speak over the phone. Now, if you're a publisher, and then you get to censor and decide, which one gets in and which one doesn't get in, then you have a responsibility and you can be sued. So if someone were to commit a crime over YouTube, let's say blackmail someone else, then if they would be a publisher and not a platform, then a person can actually sue YouTube, directly. Trump conspiracy theorist. One of the reasons Google identifies for alleged widespread public disillusionment with internet free speech is that it breeds conspiracy theories. So what? Like, okay, should we back in the day, should we close down taverns and salons and bars because they also created conspiracy theories? Should we close down CNN because they pushed the Russia Pissgate scandal? Should we close down CNN because they were also pushing the idea that Russians have hacked the American elections? Impact trust. It's a nightmare. I can't trust YouTube anymore. YouTube is not something you need to fucking trust. There are different people uploading on YouTube, and you need to make your mind on a case-by-case basis. Jesus fucking Christ. Why we need to regulate the tech platforms? Financial Times. Google search engine was suppressing the bad news about Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. How half-educated tech sites delivered us into chaos. John Nathan, The Guardian. Oh my fucking god, this is just unreadable. So I'll put a link to the article down below if you want to see it. Apparently the person who blew the whistle gave Breitbart the entire thing. Again, my question is, why was there such an uproar when James Damore was caught sending, his sexist internal memo, where he suggested maybe it's not because men are pieces of shit and they're assholes and they're keeping women away from STEM. Maybe it's just that women aren't interested in STEM, right? That was very controversial. Holy shit. And it was a massive, massive scandal. Massive. Nothing here. No waves. No, just crickets. Okay. Right. I'm very concerned. I will say this. This is how China does censorship, by the way. It is the best way to do censorship. There is no other way on the globe right now better to do censorship than to use social media. I'll probably make a video tomorrow to show you guys how China does its censorship. It is so effective, it's not even funny. The government doesn't even have to intervene. They just stay back. So you have now the, according to this letter, at least the idea that the social media should be the arm of the European Union in order to censor things that the government doesn't like. Brilliant. For safety and civility to us all.